Hello there, it's midnight and you're watching Nightline with me, Nadia Azmi. Here are the headlines. Ringgit to improve as global uncertainties subside. And MACC investigates graft allegations involving Petronas projects. Good morning. The ringgit's performance should improve as uncertainties from global market developments subside. Bank Negara Malaysia, in a statement, said the depreciation of the ringgit versus the US dollar was in line with a larger decline of regional currencies against the greenback. The central bank stated the ringgit's decline was due to developments in the US and Europe that caused investors to flock to the dollar as a safe haven. Consequently, it said the ringgit, like most currencies, has faced heightened depreciation pressures, and the recent depreciation of the ringgit is therefore not limited to Malaysia alone. It added that the ringgit's decline against the dollar was not representative of its overall performance, which it claimed was less severe when measured using the nominal effective exchange rate. BNM also said that the ringgit's exchange rate to the dollar was not representative of the Malaysian economy's performance, but primarily a result of outside developments, such as the US debt ceiling impasse, as well as the crisis surrounding the country and European regional banks. The central bank added that it would continue to monitor the movement of the ringgit in the global market and take measures to ensure that there was sufficient liquidity in the country. Earlier, the Finance Ministry said it will leave it to the Bank Negara to search for remedies to strengthen the ringgit, which has depreciated amid uncertainty over the United States debt ceiling issue. Its First Deputy Minister, Datuk Seri Ahmad Maslan, expressed confidence that the central bank would find a suitable solution due to its wisdom and good judgment to handle such matters.
Kadar munasabah itu adalah satu kadar di mana kadar yang lama berlaku untuk satu-satu kadar itu dalam tempoh 2-3 bulan dalam satu kadar yang tertentu, katalah 4.2 dalam satu tempoh 5-6 bulan. Mungkin itu kadar yang munasabah dari segi prinsip kadar pertukaran asing.
The minister also hoped that the ringgit's current position at 4 ringgit 64 cent against the US dollar would not persist. However, he said there were some advantages to the weakening ringgit. This includes pushing the export and tourism sectors, particularly encouraging the arrival of foreign tourists. Even so, he added that there are concerns that the import sector would be affected and be more expensive. This may also cause inflation and burden students who are pursuing their education overseas. The US is embroiled in a debate as to whether or not it should raise its $34.1 trillion debt ceiling before the June 1st deadline. As the deadline inched closer, however, the outcome of the US debt ceiling talks remained uncertain, putting pressure on the ringgit. In the meantime, Datuk Seri Ahmad said the granting of subsidy to the wealthy is a mistake which needs to be corrected. He stated that the present government was addressing the issue so that it will be fair to the people, especially for the B40 income group.
Kita ingin melakukan perkara yang adil. Orang miskin perlu diberi lebih subsidi daripada orang kaya. Tapi Malaysia ini sebuah negara yang tersilap memberikan subsidi. Orang kaya dapat lebih banyak daripada orang miskin. Jadi kita ingin membetulkan kesilapan itu.
The minister said the government was formulating the implementation of targeted subsidies so that the T20 will not suddenly be affected. Previously, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim announced that those in the high-income group, such as the T20, should not be receiving the benefit of electricity and Hajj subsidies. As such, he said the Central Database Hub, or PADU, would be used to manage and coordinate the distribution of subsidies only to those eligible. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah will undertake special visits to Monaco and Jordan starting Friday until June 2nd. Comptroller of the Royal Household of Istana Negara, Major General Datuk Zahari Muhammad Arifin, said that the special visit to Monaco for 4 days until May 29th was at the invitation of the Prince of Monaco, Prince Albert II. In a statement, Datuk Zahari said Al-Sultan Abdullah is scheduled to have an audience with Prince Albert II at the Palace of Monaco on Saturday. He also said that the king is scheduled to attend a luncheon with the Monaco royal family at Heracles Palace, followed by departure to the Monaco Formula One main circuit on May 28th. For the special visit to Jordan, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong is expected to arrive at the Queen Alia International Airport in Amman on May 30th. The visit is at the invitation of Jordan's King Abdullah II, and the two leaders are scheduled to meet on May 31st. Al-Sultan Abdullah is also scheduled to attend the royal wedding ceremony of the Crown Prince of Jordan at Zahran Palace on June 1st, followed by the wedding banquet at Al Husseiniah Palace in the evening. The king is expected to depart for Malaysia on June 2nd. Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim wants mosques in the country to become centres of worship and knowledge to uplift the prestige and dignity of Muslims. The Prime Minister said that this is the true meaning and foundation of a Madani nation, which is to put all policies, including education and economy, with a spirit of courtesy, moral and trust.
Cuba menyantuni semua sebagai kaum keluarga yang boleh bersama-sama secara aman dan penuh hikmah mengangkat martabat darjat harakat umat dan bangsa.
Datuk Seri Anwar made these remarks during his speech at the Majlis Ilmu Madani held at the Putra Mosque in Putrajaya on Friday night. The event featured lectures by two distinguished Muslim scholars, former Egypt Grand Mufti Professor Dr. Ali Jum'ah and the founder and principal of Darul Mustafa in Yemen, Habib Umar bin Hafiz. The program is a collaboration between the Prime Minister's Office and the Malaysia Islamic Development Department, or JAKIB, which was attended by about 18,000 people. Datuk Seri Azalina Othman Said has denied claims that the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has dropped an inquiry alleging Perikatan Nasional had received funds from gaming companies to finance its 15th general election campaign. The Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Law and Institutional Reform stressed that the MACC has only stated that no investigation papers have been opened thus far due to the general nature of the information obtained. In a statement, Datuk Seri Azalina said the MACC, as an independent and neutral body, can conduct investigations and open investigation papers as necessary under the MACC Act 2009 or any other applicable law, based on the information and evidence obtained from time to time. Besides MACC, she said other agencies, such as the Royal Malaysia Police and Inland Revenue Board, were also empowered to investigate offences. She added that Malaysian laws do not have any time limit to initiate any action on criminal cases. The minister then criticised those who had sensationalised or distorted her reply to Pasir Mas MP Ahmad Fadli Syahri in the Dewan Rakyat on behalf of MACC and urged them not to make baseless accusations against the Prime Minister. She also called for the rule of law to be respected and cautioned against jumping to conclusions based on her parliamentary reply. On Thursday, Datuk Seri Azalina replied to Ahmad Fadli, who asked about the status of the investigation on claims that PN parties received contributions from gaming companies in the last general election. Meanwhile, MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki confirmed that the graftbuster will conduct an investigation in the event that further information is obtained under the jurisdiction of the Commission. In a statement, he said the agency found that the information obtained was too general in nature and as such, no investigation papers were opened thus far. He added that the investigation will continue if the MACC obtains more detailed information and evidence, while stressing that although no investigation has been carried out, it does not mean that the case is closed. On another matter, the MACC said it is conducting an investigation into allegations of graft amounting to 399 million ringgit involving Petronas projects and an international oil and gas company in Sarawak. The probe was initiated following a report on the matter, which was published by a portal recently. In a statement on Friday, the MACC stated that Petronas was providing its full cooperation in the investigation. The portal report claimed that Petronas had allegedly awarded almost 400 million ringgit worth of contracts to a company which was involved in serious corruption offences all over the world, to the extent that it had been banned from operating in another country. The report also asked the MACC to probe if there are wrongdoings involving the top leadership of Petronas. The Commission said so far it has found several weaknesses in practices, systems and work procedures related to the issue and has suggested improving standard operating procedures SOPs as preventive measures. The MACC also called on any party with information on the issue to come forward to assist in the investigations. The government has signed a 6th supplementary contract with boosted Naval Shipyard Sundaram Berhad and BNS for the Littoral Combat Ship LCS project, but will also begin taking over the company. Defence Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Hassan said a special purpose vehicle had already been formed to bring the company under the Finance Ministry Incorporated, and he hoped that the process will begin immediately.
Pelaksanaan projek LCS ini akan dipantau oleh projek monitoring team, iaitu PMC yang dipengerusikan bersama oleh Ketua Setiausaha Perbendaharaan dan Ketua Setiausaha Kementerian Pertahanan.
Datuk Seri Muhammad said this to reporters after the signing of the supplementary contract between the Defence Ministry and BNS in Langkawi on Friday. He added periodic reports on the progress of the project will also be prepared for the Cabinet as specified by the Auditor General, and regular reporting to Parliament through the Public Accounts Committee (PAC) will be conducted every 3 months. He also hoped that the first vessel to be named KD Maharaja Lela would be ready by November next year. The LCS project erupted in controversy after the PAC revealed that not a single ship had been completed, even though the government had paid BNS over 6 billion ringgit. The Sabah government is prepared to establish a cooperation with Media Prima Berhad (MPB) to promote its Sabah Maju Jaya policy throughout the country. Its Chief Minister Datuk Seri Haji Noor said the collaboration with the country's largest and leading integrated media company will provide more opportunities for the state government to address matters regarding the welfare of the people, both in Sabah and in the peninsula.
Kerana kita mempunyai satu hala tuju yang begitu komprehensif, jelas untuk kita laksanakan agenda pembangunan kita untuk rakyat di negeri Sabah.
Dasar-dasar yang telah dibuat oleh kerajaan negeri ataupun usaha-usaha dengan lebih luas supaya ianya dapat diketahui oleh segenap lapisan masyarakat, khususnya di Sabah dan khasnya di rakyat Malaysia secara keseluruhannya lah.
Datuk Seri Haji said this during MPB's courtesy visit at Menara Kinabalu, Sabah on Friday. Also present were MPB Group Chairman Datuk Seri Dr. Syed Hussein Al-Junaid and MPB Group Corporate Communications Department General Manager Azlan Abdul Aziz. Earlier, MPB, through the New Straits Times Press NSTP Media Prima Disaster Fund, handed over a donation totalling RM198,600 to the State Social Welfare Department to be distributed to 993 flood victims in the districts of Beaufort, Penampang, Tawau, Sipitang, Kunak, Tenom and Keningau, with each household receiving a cash voucher with RM200.
Kami juga akan meneruskan misi bantuan ini kepada negeri-negeri yang terkesan akibat bencana. Oleh itu kami juga mengucapkan ribuan terima kasihlah pada orang ramai yang telah banyak membuat sumbangan kepada tabung bencana NSTP Media Prima melalui akaun yang telah diterterakan.
After this breather, Super Typhoon Mawar intensifies as it nears Philippines. Details when we return. A 31-year-old man has been arrested in rural Japan after 4 people were killed in a rare gun and knife attack involving a 12-hour standoff with police. The suspect, identified as Masanori Aoki, was taken into custody on suspicion of murder after barricading himself in his father's home in Nagano Prefecture on Friday. In Thursday's incident, police received a call at about 4:25 p.m. local time about a man who had stabbed a woman with a blade about 30 centimeters long. The alleged assailant then shot 2 policemen who later arrived at the scene with a hunting rifle. The 4th fatality, meanwhile, was confirmed overnight after an elderly woman was found injured at the scene and later pronounced dead. Police said the motive for the killings has yet to emerge, adding that an investigation into the incident is now underway. South Korean authorities on Friday detained a man after he opened the door of an Asiana Airlines plane minutes before it was due to land in the city of Daegu, causing panic among the passengers. Authorities said the Airbus A321-200 plane landed safely at about 12:40 p.m. local time after setting off from the holiday island of Jeju an hour earlier. However, 9 passengers, all teenagers, have been sent to the hospital after suffering breathing difficulties. It was reported that the plane was 2 or 3 minutes away from landing when the male passenger sitting next to an emergency exit opened a cover and pulled a lever, so the door opened with the plane about 200 meters off the ground. The Transport Ministry in a statement said the police had taken into custody the man who had opened the door and authorities were investigating violations of aviation safety laws. In other news, Super Typhoon Mawar continued to strengthen on Friday as it moved west over the Pacific toward the Philippines, days after the storm brought damaging winds and rain to Guam. According to the National Weather Service in Guam, the storm, now with maximum sustained of 297 kilometers per hour, was moving west at 22 kilometers per hour. As of Friday afternoon local time, the center of the storm was about 692 kilometers west-northwest of Guam. The Philippines Weather Service meanwhile said heavy rain, flooding, landslides and gale-force winds could lash northern Luzon, the country's biggest and most populous island, starting from late Sunday or Monday. The storm was forecast to remain a super typhoon with winds of up to 241 kilometers per hour over the next 2 days before it weakens. In Cambodia, about 40 crocodiles ripped off a man on Friday after he fell into their enclosure on his family's reptile farm. The incident occurred when one of the crocodiles grabbed the stick the man was using as a goad and pulled him in as the 72-year-old was trying to move a crocodile out of a cage where it had laid eggs. The main group of reptiles then set about him, tearing his body to pieces and leaving the concrete enclosure at the farm in Siem Reap awash with blood. Officials said that the remains of the man's body were covered with bite marks, while one of the man's arms was bitten off and swallowed by the crocodiles. Two Malaysian pairs reach Malaysian Masters semi-finals. Sports after this breather. win the 2023 Perodua Malaysia Masters. Malaysia's hope of seeing two national men's doubles in the semi-final diminished when Aaron Chia So Hui Yik suffered a straight-set defeat to Indonesian pair of Leo Raliconado Daniel Martin on Friday night. Reigning world champions Aaron and So lost the first set 18-21. The national duo tried to bounce back in the second set, but the Indonesian pair was at their best as they sealed a place in the semi-finals with a 21-19 win. Earlier, another national men's doubles, Man Wei Chong, Kai Wun Ti, recorded an upset as they outplayed third-seeded Indonesians Muhammad Ahsan, Hendra Setiawan. Man and Kai needed 39 minutes to claim a 23-21, 21-17 victory and a spot in the last four. In the women's doubles event, Buletin and Tina staged a remarkable fightback to stun fourth seeds Yuki Fukushima, Sayaka Hirota and check into the semi-finals. The sixth-seeded Buletin got off to a rocky start as they lost the first game of their quarter-final match 13-21. Things looked gloomy for the national camp when Pearly and Tina found themselves trailing again in the second game before stepping on the gas to win it 21-19 and force a decider. Buoyed, the Malaysians then sealed a 21-16 win to book a spot in the last four after a grueling battle that lasted nearly 2 hours. The national top women's pair will face Jeong Na-eun, Kim Hae-jeong in the semi-final after the fifth-seeded South Koreans upset Indonesian second seeds Apriyani Rahayu, Siti Fadia Silva, Ramadanti 21-15, 18-21, 21-16 in the last 8. Meanwhile, national men's doubles of Ong Yu-sin, Theo Yi failed to follow their compatriots' footsteps as they bowed out of the tournament on Friday night. Playing against South Korean pair Kang Min-hyuk and Seo Seong-jae, the sixth-seeded national duo took the first set 21-15 before losing the next two sets 16-21, 14-21 in the 1-hour 21-minute battle. The prosecution has filed an application requesting that all 7 cases of power abuse and money laundering faced by Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin be tried together in the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court. The former Prime Minister's counsel, Datuk Hisham Teh Pok Tek, confirmed that they had received the document but would need time to reply to the prosecution's application.
As far as the preparation defence is concerned, the other ground is also equally important, equally strong, is a point of law. We say that the charges do not disclose an offence in law. All right, and we will argue these arguments very strongly before the High Court when a date has been given by the High Court to us.
During case management on Friday, Judge Azura Alwi ordered the defence to submit its affidavit in reply by June 30th and for the prosecution to respond to it by July 14th. The court then fixed August 4th for further case management. Earlier, Deputy Public Prosecutor Datuk Wan Shahrudin Wan Ladin informed the court the application is to consolidate 4 power abuse and 3 money laundering charges that the Bersatu President is facing. Tan Sri Muhyiddin was charged with 4 counts of power abuse to receive bribes amounting to 232.5 million ringgit, as well as 3 counts of receiving 200 million ringgit, which were proceeds from illegal activities. In Perak, 2 men, both aged 39, including a person with disability, were brought before the Ipoh Magistrates Court on Friday on charges of trafficking more than 21 kilograms of heroin last week. However, no plea was recorded from the 2 accused as Ganesan and R. Pirapagaran, as the case is under the jurisdiction of the High Court. According to the charge sheet, the duo allegedly trafficked the drugs at Jalan Jelapang Payu 6, Puncak Jelapang on May 16th. The charge under the Dangerous Drugs Act carries a mandatory death sentence or life imprisonment with a minimum of 15 strokes of the cane upon conviction. The court set July 26 for mention. Malaysia's Consumer Price Index, CPI, increased to 3.3% last month. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, the increment was driven mainly by restaurants and hotels at 6.6% and food and non-alcoholic beverages at 6.3%. Chief Statistician Datuk Seri Muhammad Wazir Mahidin said the food and non-alcoholic beverages group contributed 29.5% of total CPI, noting that out of the 230 food and beverages items, 84.3% recorded increase in prices as compared to the same period last year. He said the food at home component moderated to 5% in April this year, compared to 5.6% recorded in the previous month. And the implementation of the festive season maximum price scheme for the period of 16 days, starting April 15th to 30th, had also eased the inflation to a certain extent. Nevertheless, the slower increase in the transport group at 2.3% compared to March 2023's 2.4% had offset a further rise in inflation to a certain extent. Malaysia recorded a lower inflation rate compared to the Philippines, Singapore and Indonesia. However, the country's inflation rate is higher compared to Vietnam and Thailand. As we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look as dancing, jokes and smiles flooded the streets of downtown Lima as clowns marched through the streets to celebrate Peru's Clown Day. A variety of looks were on display during the celebration, ranging from large coloured jackets and painted faces to those dressed as video game characters such as Mario or Crash Bandicoot. With that, I'm Nadia Azmi. Thank you for joining and take care.